All right, I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm very happy to present Brett Scotch Trooper live and in person after a hiatus of a few months.
Mm-hmm.
You are back in one way or another.
I'm still here. How about that?
And still here. Thank you for inviting me to your friggin' amazing, you're calling this a whiskey den.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll call this my whiskey wall.
Yeah.
And then over there is my studio. So it's kind of office, whiskey den, my happy place.
Yeah, if on the podcast, this is a big room and it's got basically the whole wall filled with whiskey with beautiful shelving, and then it's kind of inching into the room, and then in the background's a photo studio with a couple, and the table here is glass and there's a couple of barrels holding this up. This is really wonderful. Plus you have, Darth Vader whiskey here. That's pretty wonderful. This is great. We could set this up because I literally was driving through Atlanta and I was like, hey, we're nearby.
Hey, Brett's here.
Brett's here. Let's do something. And I know you've been, the community's been really coming around you in support. I wanted to be a part of that as well. I think, you've done so much for the community. We talked about this before. You've inspired a lot of Instagram accounts, just great. But you've also been a community leader on Instagram. And social media, really working with a lot of terrific brands over the years, and you've been doing this for a very long time.
I wouldn't say very long time, but it's been long enough that I've been able to turn it into an actual job, and being able to. I would say probably about. I've been doing it full time for a year.
Yeah.
And then before that, I opened the account probably about 4 years ago, but didn't really get serious until like maybe 2.5 years.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar, Scotch Trooper is on Instagram, and I guess your Scotch Trooper account now does not have any photos.
No, it does.
It does.
It does.
Just
it's in flux right now.
And we'll talk about the reasons why.
Yeah.
It is in flux, and you've got another Instagram account that you've been
Correct.
using.
So drinks with Ferencz.
Okay.
We'll play on my last name. So yeah.
I love you were on the podcast. I think about 2 years ago. I think.
Right when things started booming. Yeah.
No relation to be on the podcast, but
it was totally your podcast.
Mashable is what really did it.
Yes.
But you were on the podcast, and we talked about you using Star Wars and Scotch Trooper as Star Wars with whiskey, and we were all worried that Lucas was going to come after you. We were like, well, how is the franchise going to treat this kind of using, Star Wars? And that was great. They actually, once Disney bought the franchise, you were invited to the premiere. Like they've been really supportive of your.
I wish I was invited to the premiere. That would have been nice. But no, I was invited to Lucasfilms in San Francisco.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
And that was amazing.
Yeah.
We all thought that was going to be the end all. Like, and actually in that invite, I was talking to my wife. I was like, I don't know if we're actually being invited out there to have fun, or if they're just going to shut me down. But we got there and just had a blast.
Amazing.
And they gave us some amazing looks, and walking around their facility, I found the original Stormtrooper costume, and I may have shed a tear or two. It was a special moment.
Yeah.
But so they know I exist, and it wasn't them. So that's the fun part. Long story short, right before Star Wars Day, my Christmas, I get a call saying that there was a complaint put against me through DISCUS, Distilled Spirits Council of the U.S. In that, it was 26 pages that was sent to DISCUS from an anonymous entity. In it, claimed that I, as well as the brands that I've been working with over the last 2 years, have been advertising to minors by using toys. It was not the call I was expecting as we were heading over to actually Disney World for a week. So I actually spent a lot of that vacation on the phone with brand teams, legal departments, lawyers, and actually have been over the last 3 months. That's pretty much been my day-to-day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it essentially just said that we were advertising to minors, that all brands should sever ties with me, and I should take down my stuff, and all that they should take down all the reposts as well. I think the interesting part is the fact that in the 26 pages, it actually went through my history of the last 2 years of like who I met with, on what days, what trips I took, and like it was on the creepy level.
Yeah, like somebody was making notes for the past 2 years of where you've traveled and what content resulted of that weeks later. Yeah, that sounds creepy. Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fast forward a couple months, every day pretty much just waiting to see what the final ruling was, because Discus asked the brands to submit their responses, and based off of those responses, they were going to come up with their final ruling, which was supposed to take a couple weeks. It ended up taking a couple months, and then they ended up just upholding the complaint.
Right, so somebody sent in a complaint, they upheld it. Discus isn't a federally owned, like this is not the U.S. government.
Correct.
This is a relatively voluntary organization that all booze companies generally belong to, they pay into. But they also police this.
Yeah, and if they don't pay into it, or if they don't belong to it, they still adhere to a lot of the guidelines.
Right.
And so they govern the advertising and marketing for distilled spirits in the U.S.
Right.
And so very similar, like a lot of the brands that don't actually belong to it, actually their guidelines are sometimes copy and paste directly from them. So yeah, it's still a pretty big deal.
But Star Wars is this huge part of your life. Like this is, speaking with you, it is. Like, tell us a little bit of a kind of your passion behind whiskey. Let's talk about Star Wars.
I mean, I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, wearing my Ewok shirt. My next door neighbor coming over asking if I wanted to go see Return of the Jedi in the theater, and I was like, Mom, can this happen, please? Yeah. And I remember just like, I don't think my feet even touched the ground to get to their car. Like I was there.
Yeah.
And it's been, all Star Wars since then.
Yeah.
I mean, throw in a bunch of other things like, Transformers and G.I. Joes and all that. I mean, I was just a geek as a kid. And I continue to be that. So yeah, it's kind of encompassed everything. And so being able to combine that with my new love of whiskey was just amazing. And I want to continue doing that.
Yeah. The community support has been great. You've opened up a Patreon account weeks ago. The support's been fantastic. You're offering behind the scenes views of photography you're doing. There's Glencairn glasses with Scotch Trooper. May the Dram be with you. With beautifully done. This is for Patreon supporters specifically. There's this is moving on beyond this point. You're going to continue to build on this.
Yeah, and that's kind of, the damage has been done. Whatever. I'm really excited as to what is going to happen afterward. And we're seeing right now the massive support coming not only from fellow Instagrammers and the rest of the whiskey world, but a lot of other brands are kind of jumping on board as well. Like Virginia Distillery Company throughout the whole process was just massively supportive, and being able to lend not only their ears on a regular basis with me sending text messages and phone calls and all that, but lending me their PR department and stuff like that. I mean, they've just gone above and beyond the call of duty with this.
It's got to be important, because you're in this. You're one person doing this, and now you're all of a sudden being faced with all these other issues to have somebody else to talk to that's within the business. You're a big proponent of Whiskey Fabric that's been around, for many years in the whiskey
I was
community.
The one that created the T-shirt and logo for it too.
Oh no way! I didn't know that. I had no idea. I bought the T-shirt. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's I had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally me.
Yeah.
I talked with Whiskey Lassie about it.
Yeah.
And we kind of collaborated on it, and yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's really good. And proceeds for that go to from the T-shirts go to charity. And,
yes.
Yeah.
So it's been. Whiskey Fabric has been phenomenal. To be able to see everyone just kind of jump on board with this is just, it's been mind-blowing.
With regards to what you're doing next year, you're going to be working with Virginia Distillery. closer I get for content.
Yeah. So going forward here, that's the interesting part. Is that in doing Patreon, what that does is it takes all relationships between me and brands as far as what Scotch Trooper is, and puts it fully in the hands of the public.
Right.
And it takes all the brands out of it, so Discus is no longer involved.
Right, because you did work with brands financially before, but that's done, and so this is going to create a more independent.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think what people don't fully understand is that Scotch Trooper, even though it was huge and successful and I loved it, I did not monetize it the way that people think I did.
There's no Ferrari in the parking lot.
No, there's
well, actually,
not.
your garage doors are closed. I don't know. That might be.
You do not want to see what's in my garage right now.
Yeah.
But no, so it was like 5-10% of my actual income was from Scotch Trooper.
Right.
I mean, I monetized very little, just random posts here and there. What Scotch Trooper did was allow me to create the relationships with brands, to consult with them on social media management, do freelance photography. And so I was doing a lot of other things behind the scenes that people really didn't understand and see. In this whole complaint and debacle, it's severed all of that.
Yeah.
So what I was able to do by going full time in this has been severed.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went to the Patreonic side, just trying to recoup some of those lost costs.
Yeah. All right. Let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about whiskey.
Please.
Let's talk about kind of your whiskey story.
I started my whiskey journey in Nashville at a Rush concert.
Of course. That's,
of course. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was into teas. At one time I was into cigars massively as well. And so a friend of mine kept on telling me, like, you are so into these intricate flavor profiles and picking them out, like, you really need to get into whiskey. I'm like, I really don't. I don't need another crutch.
You're already picking your tea based on where it's grown in Japan.
Yeah. Like, I don't need to geek out over something else. And so the job I was at, my manager offered me and another fellow whiskey geek tickets to the Rush concert. And so we jumped on board, went to it, and realized we're not paying for anything here.
Yeah.
And there's whiskey on the wall.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen. And so fell in love first taste and opened Scotch Trooper probably the next weekend.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
oh,
because I already knew at that point there was this huge whiskey community sharing tasting notes, samples, and all that, and I just wanted to learn from people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to incorporate a screen name that had Scotch in it because I wanted people to automatically know that it was going to be a whiskey related account, but I also wanted to incorporate something that was cheeky and so that they didn't think I was taking myself seriously and I didn't want anyone to think I knew anything because I didn't know anything.
Right.
Still don't. But so that's where Scotch Trooper came from, and then continued. I think some of my first follows were Whiskey Lassie, Scotch Test Dummies.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Sam Spears, and still talk to those guys to this day.
Yeah.
But so you know, that's where it started, and you know, the combination of Star Wars, whiskey, and music kind of all gelled right there.
Really did it. You've got obviously a wonderful collection. What are some of your kind of most memorable favorite pours here? I know this is a hard question because I could never answer. I'm asking you the question I would never answer.
It is such a hard question. Like the first couple times I did the Scotch Test Dummies thing, the question that came across every time was, if your house is burning down,
which would you save?
What bottle would you save? And I just would turn around and go like just dumb. Like I don't know where I would go. I think I would just probably grab the closest one to me. But no, like I have a huge love for the William Grant and Sons family. But to be honest, I don't. Yeah, I come like I'll come tell my wife I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. Like an hour later, I'll come upstairs like with the one dram. just because I just sit here just trying to decide like, well, no, I haven't had that one in a while.
Oh, you did the worst thing to me. Like, what would you like to drink today? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I have no idea. Please choose for me, and that's exactly what you did, which was great. No, I mean it's got to be a lot of fun having a collection like this. The ability to kind of like play with your palate and kind of taste different things one after the other and learn. I think that's really a wonderful thing. Like you kind of center down on what you know, what you love. Moving down that list is great, and you certainly got the ability to do that.
Yeah, and some of these like have come from some really fun trips, like a lot of travel retail, and those always hold a special place because you remember the trip that you associate with it, and then you have stuff like Lafroig 18.
Yeah,
that was my first ever distillery visit in Scotland, and so we were walking. Where were we? We were walking through a cemetery, and they pulled that out because we did the Water to Whiskey tour.
Yeah,
and they just pour and pour and pour and pour, and that one hit home.
This is Lafroig 18 is one of my favorites for sure. What are some of your favorite Instagram accounts? Who do you traverse to?
Right now, up and coming is from barrel to bottle.
Yeah.
They're based out of Alberta.
Okay.
And just phenomenal photographers. A group of them, and just the landscapes they have at Banff.
Yeah.
Just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
bring whiskey outdoors.
Bring it outdoors and have just amazing scenery, and just crisp photography as well. And that's what I gravitate towards. Like you have bottle accounts everywhere.
Yeah.
But being able to actually combine amazing scenery like that with crisp photography is just they know what they're doing.
It takes a lot of work. I mean, this is not easy.
No.
I mean, I think there's a difference between like people like me that just take photos and this and that. But there's studio photography, there's lighting, there's all this other thing that takes into it, and so that photo might take days. And I'm sure with some of your photography must have taken many days from kind of inception to done. Like you've got some on the wall there that I know must have taken a very long time to stage.
Yeah. So there's the staging, and then there's also the post production.
Yeah.
And they're doing it right, and they're showing. And I got a lot of inspiration for what they've been doing for my Patreon, and doing a lot of the behind the scenes and showing people the different stages from shot setup, and then edits, and then posting.
Awesome.
So it's been fun to watch them. It's been fun to watch them blow up. But Eric and the team, like I've been talking with them a lot. We're trying to work together on a lot of projects and going forward. So they're really the ones to look out for going forward.
Nice.
And they're actually in. I don't know when this will come out, but they're actually in New York this week, doing a whole kind of walking tour, just showing the process and stuff. So I'm excited. I was hoping to be there, but I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. It's really wonderful. Anything else do you want to talk about before we close off? Any?
No, I can't think of I just really want to reiterate to the community, to the Whiskey Fabric, that I just love, or I appreciate the love that has come through the last couple weeks. It was a rough battle, but I mean, and it's not over, but to know that many people, without even knowing the full story, just jumped on board and knew someone was going through something, and the support was just phenomenal. So thank you and cheers. Yeah, we're gonna put in the show notes the Patreon link to your Patreon link, and
kind of go through the awards, the returns. I think just behind the scenes alone, it sounds amazing just to be able to get.
Yeah,
that.
and a lot of people, and I kind of want to turn it into something that, I mean, these people are paying for the content,
Yeah.
and I want it to be something that they're interested in. So it's going to be something that's going to continually progress. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how Scotch Trooper got to where it is.
Yeah, because you were surprised by kind of the turnout. You weren't really. Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
amazing.
had no plans for it.
Yeah.
No plans at all. I just wanted to get online and share stuff with people.
Yeah.
And it just, pivoted and pivoted and pivoted. So
I remember being so happy for you when it was Mashable. It was Mashable that broke it, and then BuzzFeed.
it was, yeah.
I remember,
Mashable, and then Huffington Post right afterward, and then that's just when.
I literally, I was like one of those daily Mashable RSS readers. Like I go on RSS, like holy, I like literally just like I was like, this is amazing. Like just to have somebody within the community be mentioned on, and Mashable I guess maybe isn't as well known as Huffington Post certainly, but around kind of like the IT, like just that kind of crowd, that people that love their Android phones or their Apple phones or computers. This is a creative crowd. That's a huge mention, and then that leads to Huffington Post, and then BuzzFeed picks it up. I just remember just being just over the moon, amazed. That was really wonderful. Yeah. Congratulations on that, and there's going to be more success here. Clearly, like this is a wonderful. I mean, like you said, for me, I think this says that you're going to take this and now build it into something bigger from where you're starting, with the help of the community that you've helped build, which I think is a wonderful story.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, like I've been telling people, it's been a fun journey, and this is kind of the stepping stone. Mm-hmm. And what's coming next is just going to be amazing.
Oh, Brett, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.